This is 1 hour of brain facts in a soothing voice that studies have scientifically proven to put you to sleep faster because it makes you feel safer and more relaxed. Let's jump into it after you hit like and subscribe so you and others see these videos again. It really helps. Let me know what topic I should put you to sleep with next time. All right, relax and take a deep breath. The human brain is a complex and mysterious organ consisting of approximately 86 billion neurons. This vast network of neurons communicates through trillions of synaptic connections, creating an intricate web of information exchange. Interestingly, despite accounting for only about 2% of the body's weight, the brain consumes a whopping 20% of the body's energy. This high metabolic demand is necessary to support the constant electrical activity and the critical functions the brain performs, from regulating basic life-sustaining processes to enabling complex thoughts. One fascinating aspect of brain function is neuroplasticity, which refers to the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This ability is not limited to recovery from injuries. It also plays a significant role in learning and memory. A famous case that underscores the power of neuroplasticity is that of a young girl who underwent a hemispherectomy, a surgical procedure where one cerebral hemisphere is removed. Astonishingly, she continued to lead a relatively normal life as her remaining hemisphere adapted to perform the functions of the missing one. The brain's emotional center, known as the amygdala, is primarily responsible for processing emotions such as fear, anger, and pleasure. This almond-shaped cluster of nuclei, located deep within the temporal lobes, plays a crucial role in survival by triggering rapid responses to potential threats. It is also intricately linked with the formation of emotional memories. For instance, individuals who have experienced traumatic events often have their amygdala to thank, or perhaps blame, for the intense and lasting memories associated with these experiences. Our brains are essentially electric machines, with neurons communicating via electrical impulses known as action potentials. These impulses travel along the axon of a neuron, reaching speeds up to 200 miles per hour. The brain's electrical activity can also be measured and monitored using techniques such as electroencephalography, commonly referred to as electroencephalogram, which records the patterns of brain waves. The study of these brain waves has revealed that different frequency patterns are associated with different states of consciousness, such as wakefulness, sleep, and meditation. The phenomenon of synesthesia, where the stimulation of one sensory pathway leads to automatic, involuntary experiences in a second sensory pathway, provides a fascinating glimpse into the brain's interconnectedness. For some people, hearing music might consistently evoke the visualization of colors, or they might perceive certain numbers or letters as inherently colored. This blending of senses is not fully understood, but it is believed to result from enhanced connectivity between sensory regions of the brain. Famous synesthetes include the painter Wassily Kandinsky and the composer Olivier Messiaen. Mirror neurons are a special type of neuron that responds not only when an individual performs an action, but also when they observe someone else performing that same action. Discovered in the early 1990s, these neurons are thought to play a fundamental role in understanding and mimicking the actions of others, as well as in empathy and social bonding. Mirror neurons may also be implicated in the development of language and the ability to learn by imitation. Research suggests that dysfunction of these neurons could be linked to social deficits observed in conditions such as autism. Hemispheric lateralization refers to the specialization of the left and right hemispheres of the brain for different functions. While the left hemisphere is generally associated with language, logic, and analytical thinking, the right hemisphere is linked to creativity, spatial awareness, and holistic thought processes. However, this division is not absolute, as both hemispheres are constantly communicating and collaborating via the corpus callosum, a thick band of neural fibers. Interesting evidence of lateralization comes from studies of split brain patients, whose corpus callosum has been surgically severed, leading to unique behavioral and cognitive phenomena. The phenomena known as brain freeze, or ice cream headache, occurs when something extremely cold touches the roof of your mouth, causing rapid constriction and swelling of blood vessels in the palate. This, in turn, triggers referred pain, where the sensation is felt in the forehead. Technically referred to as sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, this brief but intense pain is thought to be an evolutionary response, acting as a warning signal from the brain to prevent potential damage from cold. Though fleeting, brain freeze serves as an intriguing example of the brain's sensory processing and pain management. The blood-brain barrier is a protective shield formed by a network of endothelial cells, astrocytes and parasites, that tightly regulate what substances can enter the brain from the bloodstream. The selective permeability is essential for maintaining the brain's stable environment and for protecting it from toxins and pathogens. However, this barrier also poses a significant challenge for delivering therapeutic drugs to the brain, necessitating innovative strategies in medical research. The blood-brain barrier exemplifies how the brain safeguards its delicate internal environment, balancing protection with the need for essential nutrients and oxygen. One intriguing area of brain research includes the study of dreams, which occur primarily during the rapid eye movement, or REM, stage of sleep. Dreams can range from the mundane to the bizarre, and while their exact purpose remains a mystery, theory suggests they may play a role in processing emotions, consolidating memories, and problem-solving. Remarkably, some people experience lucid dreaming, where they become aware they are dreaming and can even exert control over the dream narrative. This conscious experience within a dream state provides unique insights into the nature of consciousness and the brain's imaginative capabilities. The prefrontal cortex, located at the front part of the frontal lobes, is critical for higher-order cognitive functions such as decision-making, social behavior, and personality expression. It is one of the last brain regions to fully mature, continuing to develop well into a person's mid-20s. Damage to the prefrontal cortex can result in profound changes in an individual's personality and judgment. A classic example is the case of Phineas Gage, a railroad worker who survived an accident in the mid-1800s in which an iron rod penetrated his skull, damaging his prefrontal cortex. The incident led to dramatic alterations in his behavior and personality. Neurogenesis, the process of generating new neurons, was once thought to be limited to early development. However, research has shown that neurogenesis persists in certain brain regions even in adulthood, particularly in the hippocampus, which is associated with learning and memory. Physical exercise, environmental enrichment, and cognitive challenges have been demonstrated to promote neurogenesis. This discovery has significant implications for understanding brain plasticity, aging, and potential therapeutic approaches for neurodegenerative diseases. The continued creation of new neurons supports the brain's adaptive capabilities and resilience throughout life. Astrocytes are a type of glial cell in the brain that play crucial supporting roles for neurons, including nutrient supply, waste removal, and regulation of synaptic activity. Traditionally, glial cells were considered mere support for neurons, but recent research reveals they have more active roles in communication and brain function. Astrocytes interact with neurons through calcium signaling and are involved in the formation and maintenance of synapses. The evolving understanding of astrocytes highlights the intricate cooperation between different cell types in the brain, challenging the previously neuron-centric view of brain function. The brain's reward system, particularly the dopaminergic pathways, is central to motivation, pleasure, and reinforcement learning. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in how we experience rewards and pursue activities that satisfy our needs and desires. Dysregulation of the reward system is implicated in various disorders, including addiction and depression. For example, in substance addiction, the brain's response to dopamine becomes altered, leading to compulsive drug-seeking behavior despite negative consequences. This highlights the powerful influence of the brain's reward circuitry on behavior and its relevance to mental health. Cerebrolateralization influences handedness, with the majority of people being right-handed due to the left hemisphere's dominance for motor control. However, about 10% of the population is left-handed, and this minority has been the subject of much curiosity in both science and culture. Interestingly, left-handed individuals often exhibit more bilateral brain activity compared to their right-handed counterparts, which may contribute to their noted adaptability in various tasks and skill sets. This handedness and its neurological underpinnings offer a window into the diverse ways the brain can organize and execute functions. Broca's area, located in the left frontal lobe, is essential for language production. Named after Paul Broca, who discovered its function in the 19th century. Damage to this region impairs speech and writing capabilities while typically preserving comprehension. This condition, known as Broca's aphasia, underscores the specialization within the brain for language functions. Broca's identification of this brain region marked a pivotal moment in neuroscience, illustrating the localization of function within the cerebral cortex and emphasizing the brain's intricate architecture for processing complex tasks like language. The superior temporal gyrus, located in the temporal lobe, houses the primary auditory cortex and is crucial for processing sounds. Damage to this area can result in auditory agnosia, where individuals can hear sounds but cannot recognize or interpret them meaningfully. This condition exemplifies the brain's specialized areas for different sensory modalities and the complexity of perceptual processing. The superior temporal gyrus also plays a role in language comprehension and is connected to other regions involved in processing auditory information, highlighting the brain's interconnected nature for integrating sensory input and cognitive functions. Mirror touch synesthesia is a rare form of synesthesia where individuals feel tactile sensations on their own body when they observe someone else being touched. This condition provides insight into the empathy mechanisms in the brain and the sensory processing pathways. Neuroimaging studies suggest that mirror touch synesthetes have heightened activity in their mirror neuron systems, illustrating how their brains are wired to closely link observed actions with personal sensations. This phenomenon underscores the powerful connections between observation, sensation, and empathy within the human brain. The hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure located in the temporal lobe, is pivotal for the formation and retrieval of memories. Damage to the hippocampus can result in severe memory impairments, such as anterograde amnesia, where individuals cannot form new memories while still retaining older ones. The hippocampus is also one of the few brain areas where adult neurogenesis occurs, suggesting its critical role in memory and learning. Famous cases, such as that of patient HM, who had his hippocampi removed, illustrate the profound impact this brain region has on our ability to navigate the past and present. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with low ability or knowledge in a particular domain overestimate their competence. This effect is rooted in the brain's metacognitive processes, specifically in the prefrontal cortex, which governs self-awareness and judgment. It reveals how the brain's assessment of its own performance can be flawed, leading to misplaced confidence and poor decision-making. Identified by psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger in the late 1990s, this phenomenon provides a fascinating glimpse into the brain's self-regulatory functions and biases. Phantom limb syndrome occurs when amputees continue to feel sensations, including pain in the missing limb. This phenomenon highlights the brain's representation of the body in the somatosensory cortex, which can persist even in the absence of sensory input from the limb. Treatments like mirror therapy, where patients use a mirror to create the illusion of the missing limb, can alleviate phantom limb pain by retraining the brain's sensory and motor maps. The syndrome underscores the brain's remarkable and sometimes perplexing capabilities for maintaining neural representations of the body. The phenomenon of blindsight occurs in individuals who are blind due to damage to their primary visual cortex. Despite the lack of conscious visual perception, these individuals can still respond to visual stimuli in their environment, such as identifying the location of an object or navigating around obstacles. This condition reveals the existence of alternative visual pathways in the brain that bypass the primary visual cortex, allowing for some level of unconscious vision. Blindsight challenges our understanding of conscious awareness and the complexity of neural processing in the visual system. The default mode network, often abbreviated as DMN, is a network of brain regions that are active when the mind is at rest and not focused on the external environment. This network includes areas such as the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and angular gyrus. The DMN is associated with self-referential thoughts such as daydreaming, recalling memories, and envisioning the future. Dysregulation of the DMN has been linked to mental disorders such as depression and anxiety, providing insights into how the brain's resting state can influence mental health. Alexithymia is a condition characterized by difficulty in identifying and describing emotions, both in oneself and others. Individuals with alexithymia often struggle with emotional awareness and have a limited imagination and introspection. This condition is thought to be linked to atypical functioning in brain regions involved in emotion regulation, such as the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula. Alexithymia provides insight into the brain's mechanisms for processing and expressing emotions and highlights the complex interplay between cognition and emotion in human experience. The field of optogenetics involves using light to control neurons that have been genetically modified to express light-sensitive ion channels. This technique allows researchers to precisely manipulate neuronal activity in specific brain circuits, providing a powerful tool for studying brain function and behavior. For example, optogenetics has been used to investigate the neural mechanisms of behaviors such as movement, pain perception, and reward. The advent of optogenetics has revolutionized neuroscience, offering unprecedented control over the brain's intricate circuitry and shedding light on the neural basis of complex behaviors. Williams syndrome is a genetic disorder characterized by developmental delays and distinctive cognitive and personality traits. Individuals with Williams syndrome often exhibit a unique profile of strengths and weaknesses, including advanced verbal skills, extreme sociability, and a profound affinity for music. coupled with deficits in spatial awareness and motor control. This syndrome is associated with structural and functional differences in brain regions such as the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. Studying Williams syndrome offers valuable insights into the genetic and neural underpinnings of human behavior and cognition. Prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness, is a neurological condition where individuals cannot recognize faces, even those of close friends and family. This impairment results from damage or dysfunction in the fusiform face area, located in the temporal lobe, which is specialized for facial recognition. While people with prosopagnosia may not recognize faces, they can often use other cues, such as voice or clothing, to identify individuals. This condition underscores the brain's specialized processing capabilities for different types of visual information and the importance of the fusiform face area. The phenomenon of emotional contagion refers to the automatic and unconscious transfer of emotions between individuals, often facilitated by mirror neurons and brain regions involved in empathy. When we observe someone expressing an emotion, such as happiness or sadness, our brain can mirror that emotion, leading us to feel similarly. Emotional contagion plays a crucial role in social interactions and bonding, as it allows us to understand and respond to the emotions of others. This phenomenon highlights the interconnected nature of human emotions and the brain's ability to synchronize with the emotional states of those around us. Aphantasia is a condition characterized by the inability to voluntarily visualize mental images. People with aphantasia do not form mental pictures of objects, scenes, or people, despite having functional visual perception. This condition can also affect other sensory modalities, such as the inability to imagine sounds or smells. Aphantasia provides insights into the brain's imaginative processes and the neural basis of mental imagery. Studies suggest that individuals with aphantasia may have differences in connectivity between brain regions involved in imagery and perception, highlighting the diverse ways brains can process information. The vagus nerve, one of the longest nerves in the body, extends from the brainstem to the abdomen and plays a vital role in regulating autonomic functions, such as heart rate, digestion, and immune response. The vagus nerve also connects the brain to the gut, facilitating bidirectional communication that influences both physical and emotional health. Stimulation of the vagus nerve, through techniques like vagus nerve stimulation therapy, has been used to treat conditions such as epilepsy and depression. This nerve exemplifies the intricate connections between the brain and body, underscoring the concept of the gut-brain axis, THATA. Human brain contains a staggering number of nerve cells, called neurons, each connected to thousands of others. This extensive network is what allows us to think, feel, and process information. Essentially, the brain is a massive web of connections, with some estimates putting the total number of synapses, or connections between neurons, at 100 trillion. To give you an idea of the scale, if you could count one synapse per second, it would take you over 3 million years to count them all. These connections constantly change and rewire themselves in response to new experiences, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. The brain consumes a disproportionately large amount of energy compared to its size. While it represents only about 2% of our body weight, it uses around 20% of our body's total energy resources. This is particularly evident in infants, whose developing brains can use up to 50% of their total energy. Moreover, the brain's energy consumption remains constant during different activities. For instance, whether you are solving complex mathematical problems or daydreaming, the brain's energy usage does not fluctuate significantly, highlighting its continuous background activity. In some cultures, the brain was not always considered the seat of intelligence. The ancient Egyptians, for example, believed that the heart was the center of thought and emotion. When preparing bodies for mummification, they went to great lengths to preserve the heart but discarded the brain as unimportant. Despite their extraordinary anatomical knowledge in other areas, this grave error persisted for millennia. It was only with the advances of the ancient Greeks, particularly Hippocrates, that the brain began to be recognized as the controlling organ of the body. One of the most intriguing aspects of the brain is its ability to change in response to learning and experience, a property termed neuroplasticity. This phenomenon is not just limited to minor tweaks, but includes the formation of entirely new neural pathways. Famous cases, such as that of Phineas Gage, illustrate this vividly. Gage survived a catastrophic brain injury when an iron rod shot through his skull. Though his personality changed drastically, he continued to function, offering early, concrete evidence that our brain can adapt to even severe trauma. The brain communicates within itself and with other parts of the body through a system of electrical and chemical signals. But did you know it produces enough electricity to power a small LED light bulb? This astounding fact provides a useful mental image for understanding the brain's electrical nature. Electroencephalograms, EEGs, are used to measure these electrical activities, aiding in diagnosing conditions like epilepsy and sleep disorders. The continuous electrical activity also serves as an indicator of a person's brain activity level and overall brain health. Many people are familiar with the left brain, right brain dichotomy, but this is an oversimplification. While it is true that the brain is divided into two hemispheres, each responsible for different functions, the reality is far more complex. For instance, language skills are typically localized in the left hemisphere, but this dominance is not absolute and can shift, especially if the brain sustains damage. Moreover, recent research has shown that virtually every task we perform involves coordinated activity across both hemispheres, debunking the myth of unilateral brain function. Deep within the brain is a small, almond-shaped set of neurons known as the amygdala, which plays a key role in processing emotions, particularly fear and pleasure. This area has been extensively studied in animals and humans. In one famous case, a woman known only as SM has a rare condition that destroyed her amygdala. As a result, she experiences almost no fear, even in situations that are universally terrifying. This unique condition has provided researchers invaluable insights into the role of the amygdala and has sparked debates on how emotion processing mechanisms evolved. The prefrontal cortex, located at the front of the brain, is the center of complex cognitive behavior, personality expression, decision-making, and social behavior. This area doesn't fully mature until well into early adulthood, which helps explain why teenagers often exhibit impulsive behavior and poor decision-making skills. Studies on adolescent brain development have shown that the prefrontal cortex is one of the last regions to undergo the process known as myelination, where nerve fibers become insulated, speeding up electrical communication. This delayed maturation is why young adults often show an increase in risk-taking and sensation-seeking behaviors. The hippocampus is an essential part of the brain involved in the formation of new memories and is also associated with learning and emotions. Intriguingly, this area is particularly vulnerable to stress and aging. Studies have shown that chronic stress can shrink the hippocampus, impairing its ability to function properly. For example, individuals with prolonged exposure to stress hormones often experience difficulty with memory and learning. However, the hippocampus also has a remarkable ability to regenerate neurons, known as neurogenesis, which provides some hope for mitigating the detrimental effects of stress and aging on memory and learning. Sleep is fundamental to brain health, yet scientists are still unraveling the mysteries of why we sleep and what happens in the brain during different sleep stages. One of the leading theories is that sleep helps consolidate memories by transferring information from the short-term memory bank in the hippocampus to long-term storage in the cortex. This process is supported by studies showing that people who get adequate sleep are better at remembering new information. Furthermore, sleep has been found to clear out waste products from the brain, including beta-amyloid plaques, which are associated with Alzheimer's disease, making sleep a vital component of cognitive health. Mirror neurons, first discovered in monkeys, are a special class of neurons that activate both when an individual performs an action and when they observe the same action performed by someone else. These neurons are thought to play a crucial role in understanding others' intentions, empathy, and learning by imitation. Research involving brain imaging techniques has shown that similar systems of mirror neurons exist in humans. Their discovery has profound implications for explaining phenomena such as the contagiousness of yawning and people's ability to learn new skills through observation, thereby emphasizing the brain's role in social and interactive behaviors. While many people believe the myth that we only use 10% of our brains in reality, almost every part of the brain has a known function. Modern neuroimaging techniques, such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and positron emission tomography, PET, have shown that over the course of a day, we use virtually all of our brain. Even simple tasks or periods of rest light up multiple areas of the brain, indicating involvement in functions like maintaining bodily homeostasis, processing sensory information, and supporting spontaneous thought and daydreaming. This idea underscores the incredible complexity and interconnectedness of our neural networks. An overlooked but critical aspect of brain function is the role of glial cells. Often called the support cells of the nervous system, glial cells were once thought to merely hold neurons together. However, recent research has revealed that they play much more active roles, including aiding in signal transmission, maintaining homeostasis, and providing energy to neurons. Some types of glial cells, like astrocytes, even facilitate the formation of synapses, and are involved in repairing the brain after injury. This new understanding challenges the long-standing neuron-centric view of brain function and opens new avenues for treating neurological disorders. Among the brain's many remarkable features is its ability to generate and maintain consciousness. Consciousness is a highly complex state, involving the intricate interplay of different brain regions. One area critical to this process is the thalamus, a deep brain structure that acts as a relay station for sensory and motor signals and plays a crucial role in maintaining arousal and alertness. Disorders of consciousness, such as comas and vegetative states, often result from damage to the thalamus or its connections, highlighting its importance. Understanding the neural basis of consciousness remains one of the most challenging and intriguing areas of neuroscience. The brain's ability to feel pain is a curious paradox because the brain itself lacks pain receptors. When you experience a headache, what you're actually feeling is pain from surrounding structures like blood vessels, muscles, and nerves. Neurosurgeons can operate on the brain while a patient is awake only because the brain tissue doesn't feel pain. This unique characteristic has enabled numerous groundbreaking surgeries where patients are asked to perform tasks or report sensations while surgeons stimulate different parts of their brain. These awake surgeries often help to pinpoint regions responsible for vital functions like speech, helping to preserve quality of life. The gut-brain axis is a fascinating area of research exploring the bidirectional communication between the brain and the gastrointestinal system. Recent studies suggest that gut bacteria can influence brain function and behavior. For example, certain probiotics, or beneficial bacteria, have been shown to produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which play key roles in mood regulation. The vagus nerve, a major pathway connecting the gut and brain, facilitates this intricate communication. Researchers are exploring whether manipulating gut bacteria through diet, probiotics, or even fecal transplants could offer new treatments for mental health disorders like depression and anxiety. Pruning is a term used to describe the brain's natural process of eliminating excess neurons and synapses during development, essentially refining its neural circuits for more efficient functioning. This occurs most actively during early childhood and adolescence. While it might sound negative, pruning is actually beneficial. It helps to optimize brain function by strengthening necessary connections and removing redundant ones. Problems in the pruning process have been linked to neurological disorders. For instance, excessive pruning is being studied as a potential factor in the development of schizophrenia, while insufficient pruning may play a role in autism spectrum disorders. Temporal lobe epilepsy can produce some incredibly unique and vivid experiences, unlike other forms of epilepsy that cause loss of consciousness or convulsions. Temporal lobe epilepsy can result in complex partial seizures that affect perception and memory. Some people report experiencing déjà vu or intense, vivid memories during seizures. There was a case of a writer who had experienced an irresistible compulsion to write when he sensed an impending seizure. These seizures also sometimes lend themselves to hyper-religious experiences, a phenomenon explored by neurologist V.S. Ramachandran in his research on the so-called God spot, a theory postulating that specific brain areas create religious experiences. The blood-brain barrier is a selective permeability barrier that separates the circulating blood from the brain's extracellular fluid in the central nervous system. This barrier is crucial for protecting the brain from harmful substances, but it also presents a significant challenge for treating brain diseases. Many drugs that are effective in other parts of the body cannot penetrate the blood-brain barrier. Recent advances in medical research, such as the use of ultrasound and nanoparticles, aim to temporarily and safely open the blood-brain barrier, allowing for the delivery of therapeutic agents directly to the brain, potentially revolutionizing the treatment of brain disorders. The default mode network, DMN, is a network of interacting brain regions active when a person is at rest and not focused on the outside world. It plays a critical role in self-referential thinking, daydreaming, and envisioning the future. Disruptions in the DMN have been linked to various mental health conditions, including depression and anxiety. For example, people with major depressive disorder often show hyperactivity in the DMN, particularly in areas associated with rumination and self-criticism. Understanding the DMN's role in mental health is leading to new therapeutic strategies, such as mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapies, aimed at modulating its activity. The brain's olfactory system, responsible for the sense of smell, has a unique and direct connection to the limbic system, the brain's emotional center. This explains why certain smells can evoke powerful emotional memories. Unlike other senses, olfactory signals do not pass through the thalamus before reaching the brain's cortex. Instead, they go directly to the olfactory bulb and then to the limbic system, including the amygdala and hippocampus. This direct pathway helps to explain the strong link between smell, memory, and emotion. Researchers are investigating ways this connection can be harnessed for therapeutic purposes, such as treating PTSD. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, is a protein that plays a critical role in the growth, maintenance, and survival of neurons. It is particularly important for long-term memory. Exercise has been shown to significantly increase levels of BDNF in the brain, which may explain why physical activity is associated with improved cognitive function and a lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Studies have shown that even short-term exercise interventions can boost BDNF levels, suggesting that incorporating regular physical activity into one's routine can have a lasting impact on brain health. The phenomenon of blindsight offers a compelling example of the brain's complex processing abilities. Blindsight occurs in individuals who have damage to their primary visual cortex and are clinically blind, but can still respond to visual stimuli without consciously perceiving them. This condition indicates that there are alternative pathways in the brain that can process visual information without involving the visual cortex. Research into blindsight has deepened our understanding of the brain's redundant systems for processing sensory information and has potential implications for developing new treatments for vision impairments and other sensory disorders. Phantom limb syndrome is a condition where amputees continue to experience sensations, including pain in their missing limb. This phenomenon occurs because the brain's representation of the body part persists even after the limb is gone. Neurologist V.S. Ramachandran pioneered the use of mirror therapy to treat phantom limb pain. By using a mirror to create the illusion of the missing limb, patients can often relieve their pain, highlighting the brain's remarkable adaptability and its intricate relationship with perception. This therapy has opened up new ways to understand and treat pain and sensory anomalies. The anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, a part of the brain's frontal lobe, plays a vital role in regulating blood pressure and heart rate, decision-making, empathy, and emotional regulation. One of its more fascinating functions is its involvement in the experience of physical pain and the perception of social rejection, often termed social pain. Studies using functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, have shown that the ACC is activated both by physical pain and emotional distress, such as feeling excluded or judged. This overlap suggests that social and physical pain share common neural pathways, providing insight into why social interactions can have such profound emotional impacts. The study of neurotheology aims to explore the relationship between the brain and religious or spiritual experiences. Using neuroimaging techniques, researchers have found that activities like prayer and meditation activate specific brain regions, such as the prefrontal cortex and the parietal lobe. These areas are involved in attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness. Some studies suggest that long-term meditation can even change brain structure, increasing gray matter density in areas related to emotional regulation and cognitive function. While still a controversial field, neurotheology aims to provide scientific insights into how and why spiritual experiences occur and their effects on the brain. The role of microglia, the brain's resident immune cells, is a burgeoning field of research. These tiny cells are responsible for identifying and eliminating pathogens, damaged cells, and debris. Interestingly, microglia also play a crucial role in synaptic pruning during brain development and in response to injury. Dysregulation of microglial activity has been linked to several neurological disorders. For instance, excessive microglial activation is associated with neuroinflammation in conditions like Alzheimer's disease and multiple sclerosis. Understanding microglial function and regulation opens new avenues for therapeutic interventions targeting these cells to treat or prevent neurodegenerative diseases. The phenomenon of synesthesia is a unique blending of the senses, where stimulation of one sensory pathway leads to automatic involuntary experiences in a second sensory pathway. People with synesthesia might see sounds as colors or taste shapes. Research suggests that this condition results from atypical connectivity between sensory regions of the brain. Studies using brain imaging techniques have shown that synesthetes have increased communication between adjacent sensory areas. This condition is not just a curiosity, but offers valuable insights into how the brain integrates sensory information and how neural pathways can differ significantly among individuals. The concept of brain lateralization has long fascinated scientists and psychologists. Brain lateralization refers to the idea that the two hemispheres of the brain are specialized for different functions. For example, the left hemisphere is traditionally associated with language and analytic thought, while the right hemisphere is linked to spatial abilities and creativity. However, recent research has shown that this division is not as clear-cut as once thought. Many cognitive tasks require the integration of both hemispheres. Techniques like split brain surgery, where the corpus callosum connecting the two hemispheres is severed, have provided invaluable insights into the complexities of brain lateralization. Music has profound effects on the brain and can influence mood, cognition, and even physical health. Listening to music engages multiple brain areas simultaneously, including those involved in emotion, memory, and motor control. Research has shown that music therapy can be beneficial for people with neurological disorders like Parkinson's disease, stroke, and dementia. For instance, rhythmic auditory stimulation can improve gait and coordination in Parkinson's patients, while personalized music playlists help dementia patients recall memories and improve their quality of life. The brain's response to music underscores its potential as a powerful therapeutic tool. The Mozart effect is a term that originated from studies suggesting that listening to Mozart's music could temporarily enhance cognitive performance, particularly spatial temporal reasoning. Although initially hailed as a groundbreaking discovery, subsequent research has produced mixed results. While some studies confirm minor cognitive benefits, others attribute these effects to general arousal and mood elevation rather than specific properties of Mozart's music. Despite the controversy, the Mozart effect has spurred interest in how different types of music can influence brain function and has led to broader investigations into the cognitive and emotional benefits of musical experiences. The brain's visual system is highly complex and not entirely understood. Unlike a camera which captures the entire scene in one shot, the brain builds our perception of the world through a series of intricate processes. Visual information captured by the eyes is transformed into electrical signals and processed by various specialized regions in the brain. For example, the primary visual cortex processes basic features like edges and colors, while higher-order regions integrate this information into coherent shapes and objects. Remarkably, our perception is also shaped by top-down processes, where existing knowledge and expectations influence what we see, showing that vision is an active, interpretative process. Broca's area and Wernicke's area are two regions in the brain's left hemisphere crucial for language processing. Broca's area, located in the frontal lobe, is associated with speech production and articulation. Damage to this area can result in Broca's aphasia, characterized by slow, laborious, and non-fluent speech, though comprehension remains relatively intact. On the other hand, Wernicke's area, situated in the temporal lobe, is essential for language comprehension. Damage to Wernicke's area leads to Wernicke's aphasia, where individuals can produce fluent but nonsensical speech and struggle to understand language. These two areas exemplify the brain's specialized functions and interconnected networks involved in language. The discovery of place cells in the hippocampus by John O'Keefe significantly advanced our understanding of spatial navigation and memory. Place cells are neurons that become active when an animal is in a specific location in its environment, effectively forming a cognitive map. For this groundbreaking work, O'Keefe was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2014, along with Maybrit Moser and Edvard Moser, who discovered grid cells in the entorhinal cortex. Grid cells work alongside place cells to provide a coordinate system for navigation. These discoveries have profound implications for understanding how the brain encodes and retrieves spatial memory, with potential applications for treating memory disorders. The brain's reward system, centered around the neurotransmitter dopamine, plays a crucial role in motivation, pleasure, and reinforcement learning. Activities that provide pleasure, such as eating or social interactions, stimulate dopamine release in the human brain, as around 86 billion neurons, which communicate with one another through trillions of synapses. To put it in perspective, the Milky Way galaxy has about 100 billion stars, making our brain one of the most complex systems in the known universe. This communication network is vital for everything from basic bodily functions to advanced cognitive activities like problem solving and abstract thinking. The brain generates about 20 watts of electrical power, enough to power a small light bulb. This electrical activity is used in electroencephalography, or electroencephalogram, to measure brain function. Interestingly, this 20 watts is a mere fraction of the energy that the brain consumes, highlighting the fact that the brain is incredibly energy efficient but still incredibly powerful. Our brains are composed of approximately 75% water, and this high water content is crucial for maintaining the brain's electrical activity. Dehydration of just 2% can negatively impact cognitive functions such as attention, memory, and other executive functions. It underscores the importance of staying hydrated for optimal brain performance. The brain's plasticity, or its ability to change and rewire itself, is one of its most fascinating attributes. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to adapt following injuries such as strokes and forms the basis for learning and memory. It means that our brains are not static. They continue to evolve throughout our lives in response to our experiences and environments. In the phenomenon known as synesthesia, some people experience a merging of their senses, where, for example, they may see colors when they hear music or taste flavors when they read words. This condition, which affects roughly 1 in 23 people, results from unusual cross-wiring in the brain's sensory regions, providing a vivid example of how interconnected our sensory perceptions can be. Broca's area, named after the 19th century French physician Paul Broca, is a region in the frontal lobe primarily responsible for speech production. Damage to this area can result in Broca's aphasia, where individuals know what they want to say but struggle to articulate words. This discovery was pivotal in the field of neuropsychology, underscoring the localization of brain functions. The brain's reward center, primarily composed of structures like the ventral tegmental area, nucleus accumbens, and prefrontal cortex, releases the neurotransmitter dopamine in response to pleasurable activities such as eating, socializing, or completing a task. The system is crucial for motivating behavior but can also play a role in addiction, as addictive substances can hijack this pathway to reinforce harmful behaviors. Eleanor Maguire, a neuroscientist at University College London, conducted a famous study on London taxi drivers. She found that the hippocampus, a region involved in spatial memory and navigation, was significantly larger in these drivers compared to the average person. This research provided some of the first compelling evidence that the brain can physically grow in response to learning new skills. Mirror neurons, a type of brain cell discovered in the frontal and parietal lobes, are activated both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action. These neurons are thought to be fundamental to our ability to empathize and learn through imitation. Their discovery has revolutionized our understanding of social cognition and human interaction. A fascinating phenomenon known as phantom limb syndrome occurs when individuals who have lost a limb continue to feel sensations, including pain in the missing appendage. This occurs because the neurons in the brain's sensory cortex that previously represented the limb do not simply become inactive. Instead, they start reacting to stimuli from other parts of the body, causing the brain to still register sensations from the missing limb. Split brain patients who have had the corpus callosum, the bundle of fibers connecting the brain's two hemispheres, surgically severed as a treatment for epilepsy, provide unique insights into hemispheric specialization. For instance, such patients may be unable to verbally describe an object placed in their left hand, even though they can draw it or use it correctly. This illustrates the distinct roles played by the brain's left and right hemispheres. The Stroop effect is a phenomenon where it takes longer to name the color of the ink, in which a word is printed when the word itself is different than the ink color. For example, the word blue, printed in red ink. This effect highlights our brain's susceptibility to interference from conflicting information and is widely used in psychological research to investigate cognitive processes like attention and automaticity. The concept of grandmother cells refers to the idea that specific neurons, or groups of neurons, could respond to complex, specific stimuli, such as the face of one's grandmother. Although the idea was initially controversial, research has provided evidence for highly specialized neurons in the medial temporal lobe that respond to specific individuals or objects, underscoring the brain's remarkable capacity for recognition and memory. The anterior cingulate cortex, a part of the brain involved in regulating blood pressure and heart rate, is also crucial for decision-making, empathy, and emotional regulation. Studies have shown that this area is particularly active during experiences of social pain, such as rejection or loss, indicating that our brains process physical and emotional pain in remarkably similar ways. The term plasticity also applies to how the brain can change in response to environmental factors and experiences throughout one's life. This concept is the foundation for therapies that aim to rehabilitate cognitive functions after brain injuries and developmental disorders. Examples include constraint-induced movement therapy for stroke patients, which encourages the use of a weakened limb, thereby harnessing the brain's capacity to rewire itself. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, is a non-invasive method used to stimulate small regions of the brain through magnetic fields. This technique is currently being explored for various therapeutic applications, including the treatment of depression and other psychiatric disorders. By precisely targeting specific brain areas, TMS can modulate neuronal activity, and has shown promising results in enhancing cognitive functions. The brain's glymphatic system is involved in clearing out waste products from the brain, much like the lymphatic system does for the rest of the body. This system is highly active during sleep, particularly during deep sleep stages, which helps to shed light on why sleep is so crucial for cognitive health. Poor sleep quality has been linked to an accumulation of waste products like amyloid beta, a protein associated with Alzheimer's disease. Neurogenesis, the process by which new neurons are formed in the brain, was once believed to occur only during development. However, research has shown that neurogenesis can continue into adulthood, particularly in the hippocampus, a region essential for learning and memory. This discovery has profound implications for understanding the brain's ability to recover from injuries and adapt to new experiences. The blood-brain barrier is a selective permeability barrier that protects the brain from potentially harmful substances in the bloodstream, while allowing essential nutrients to pass through. This barrier is crucial for maintaining the brain's delicate internal environment, but also poses a challenge for delivering therapeutic drugs to treat neurological disorders, spurring ongoing research into bypassing or modifying it for better drug delivery. The brain's amygdala is mainly associated with the processing of emotions, particularly fear and pleasure. Interestingly, the removal or damage to the amygdala has been shown to result in an inability to perceive fear, as observed in both animal studies and rare human cases. This highlights the amygdala's critical role in emotional regulation and its influence on behavior and decision-making. Phineas Gage, a 19th century railroad worker, experienced a dramatic personality change after an accident drove an iron rod through his skull, destroying much of his left frontal lobe. He survived but became impulsive and erratic, providing early evidence linking the frontal lobes to personality and social behavior. His case remains one of the most famous in the history of neuroscience. Brain waves, which are synchronized electrical pulses from masses of neurons communicating with each other, are categorized into different types based on their frequency: delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma waves. For example, delta waves are associated with deep sleep, while beta waves are linked to active thinking and focus. The study of brainwaves through electroencephalogram has significantly enhanced our understanding of various cognitive states and neurological conditions. The brain's default mode network is a network of interconnected brain regions that becomes active when a person is not focused on the external environment, such as during daydreaming or mind wandering. It is thought to be involved in self-referential thinking and has been implicated in various mental health conditions, including depression. Its discovery has shifted the focus in neuroscience from task-based studies to understanding intrinsic brain activity. The phenomenon of blind sight occurs in some individuals with damage to the primary visual cortex, leading to a loss of conscious vision. Remarkably, these individuals can still respond to visual stimuli that they cannot consciously perceive, such as navigating around obstacles. This suggests that visual information can be processed outside of conscious awareness, highlighting the complexity of sensory processing in the brain. Cerebral lateralization refers to the idea that the two hemispheres of the brain are specialized for different tasks. For example, in most right-handed individuals, the left hemisphere is dominant for language processing, while the right hemisphere excels in spatial reasoning and face recognition. This concept has led to a deeper understanding of how different brain regions contribute to complex behaviors and cognitive functions. Mirror therapy is a fascinating and innovative approach used to treat phantom limb pain and other conditions like stroke recovery. In this therapy, a mirror is placed in such a way that it reflects a patient's intact limb, creating the illusion of the presence of the missing or paralyzed limb. This visual feedback can help reset the brain's sensory pathways, reducing pain and improving motor function. One of the most puzzling mysteries in neuroscience is the condition called prosopagnosia, or face blindness. People with prosopagnosia have difficulty recognizing faces, even those of close family members. This condition arises due to damage or dysfunction in the fusiform face area, a region specifically dedicated to facial recognition. Despite their impairment, individuals with prosopagnosia often use other cues like hairstyles and clothing to identify people. The story of Henry Molaison, formerly known as Patient H&M, has had a significant impact on our understanding of memory. After undergoing surgery to remove parts of his medial temporal lobes to treat epilepsy, Molaison lost his ability to form new long-term memories. This case provided crucial insights into the role of the hippocampus in memory formation and solidified the distinction between different types of memory systems in the brain. The concept of brain-machine interfaces involves the direct communication between a brain and an external device, often bypassing traditional neurological pathways. These interfaces have enabled people with paralysis to control robotic limbs or computer cursors using only their thoughts. Advances in this field hold enormous potential for restoring function and improving the quality of life for individuals with severe disabilities. Helen Keller, who was both blind and deaf, learned to communicate through the tireless efforts of her teacher Anne Sullivan. Using a method called tactile sign language, Sullivan traced words into Helen's palm, enabling her to connect objects with their names. This remarkable learning process demonstrated the brain's extraordinary ability to adapt and rewire itself under challenging circumstances, emphasizing the concept of neuroplasticity. Dyslexia is a learning disorder characterized by difficulties with accurate and fluent word recognition, poor spelling, and decoding abilities. Recent research suggests that dyslexia is linked to differences in the brain's phonological processing areas, such as the left temporoparietal cortex. Despite these challenges, many individuals with dyslexia exhibit strengths in other areas, such as creativity and problem solving, highlighting the brain's diverse capabilities. Albert Einstein's brain was studied after his death, revealing an unusually large number of Glau cells in the left inferior parietal region, an area associated with mathematical and spatial reasoning. While the exact implications are still debated, these findings suggest that not just neurons but also glial cells, which support and protect neurons, play a crucial role in cognitive functioning and intellectual abilities. The concept of use it or lose it is particularly relevant to brain health. Research has shown that engaging in intellectually stimulating activities, social interactions, and physical exercise can help maintain cognitive function as we age. These activities promote neurogenesis, enhance synaptic plasticity, and increase the brain's resilience to neurodegenerative diseases, emphasizing the importance of an active lifestyle for long-term brain health. The placebo effect, where a person experiences a real improvement in their condition after receiving a treatment with no therapeutic value, is a powerful demonstration of the brain's influence over the body. Neuroimaging studies have shown that placebo treatments can stimulate the release of endogenous opioids and other neurochemicals in the brain, mirroring the effects of genuine treatments and highlighting the profound impact of expectation and belief on health. Myelin is a fatty substance that forms a sheath around the axons of neurons, facilitating the rapid transmission of electrical signals throughout the nervous system. This myelination process continues well into young adulthood and is essential for efficient neural communication. Diseases like multiple sclerosis, characterized by the destruction of myelin, illustrate the critical importance of this substance for maintaining normal brain and nervous system function. Hyperthymesia is an extraordinary condition where individuals possess an unusually vast and precise memory of their personal life events. People with this condition can recall in detail nearly every day of their lives. Research into hyperthymesia provides valuable insights into the mechanisms of memory storage and retrieval. Although the exact neural differences contributing to this remarkable ability are still being investigated, looking at the phenomenon called brainwave entrainment, rhythms in the brain can be synchronized with external stimuli like sound or light. Techniques like binaural beats, where two slightly different frequencies are played into each ear, have been studied for their potential to induce states of relaxation, focus, or even sleep. This area of research highlights the brain's responsiveness to rhythmic patterns and its potential applications in mental health and cognitive enhancement. The concept of embodied cognition suggests that our brains do not function in isolation but are deeply influenced by our bodies and environments. For instance, physical actions like gestures can significantly aid in problem solving and memory retention. This perspective challenges the traditional view of the brain as a detached command center, instead emphasizing the intricate interplay between mind, body, and environment. Research into the gut-brain axis reveals that the gastrointestinal system communicates with the brain through a complex network of neurons, hormones, and biochemical signals. This bidirectional communication affects not only digestion but also mood, cognition, and overall mental health. For example, gut microbiota can influence the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, highlighting the importance of gut health for maintaining a balanced psychological state. Brain is an incredible organ, and one of the coolest things about it is its plasticity, essentially its ability to change and adapt throughout a person's life. When someone learns a new skill, whether it be playing the piano or juggling balls, the brain's structure and function change to accommodate this new ability. This ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections is especially important after injury. For example, stroke victims often lose specific motor or speech functions, but with therapy and persistence, other parts of the brain can sometimes take over these lost functions. This adaptability isn't just limited to recovery, it's also the reason people can continue to learn and grow intellectually even in old age. However, this brain plasticity diminishes with age, making it harder to learn new topics or adapt after damage as people get older. One fascinating but lesser-known fact about the brain is how it processes pain. Pain perception isn't just straightforward signaling from the body to the brain. There's an intricate system called the pain matrix, which involves multiple brain regions, including the thalamus, the insular cortex, and the anterior cingulate cortex. Each plays a role in interpreting different aspects of pain, like its location and intensity, and even the emotional response to it. There are cases where people with injuries report pain in a limb that no longer exists, known as phantom limb syndrome. This is because the brain's map of the body remains even after an amputation, and neurons in the brain can still get confused. Sometimes, treating this type of pain can involve mirror therapy, where a person uses a mirror to see the missing limb, tricking the brain into thinking the limb is still there. Did you know your brain operates on the same amount of power as a small light bulb? Despite its massive capabilities, the human brain uses only about 20 watts of power at any given time. This efficiency is extraordinary when you consider that the brain is responsible for everything from regulating vital body functions and interpreting sensory information to performing complex cognitive tasks and generating consciousness. This small power requirement is thanks to the brain's incredibly specialized cells and structures. Neurons communicate through electrical impulses that are generated and transmitted with astonishing efficiency. Your brain's power efficiency is tied to its use of glucose, the primary fuel for neurons. The modest energy requirement doesn't mean that brain function is simple. Rather, it showcases the organ's remarkable efficiency. The brain's structure includes more than just neurons. It also contains glial cells, which are often referred to as the supporting actors in the nervous system. These cells outnumber neurons by about 50 to 1 and play various essential roles. Astrocytes, one type of glial cell, help maintain the blood-brain barrier, which protects the brain from harmful substances in the bloodstream. Oligodendrocytes, another type, produce the myelin sheath that surrounds neurons, helping to speed up electrical impulses. Then there are microglia, which act like the brain's immune system, cleaning up debris and fighting off infections. In recent years, scientists have discovered that glial cells are not just passive support players, but also actively influence synaptic function, neural development, and even neuroplasticity. The complex symbiotic relationship between neurons and glial cells is critical to the brain's overall health and functioning. Speaking of communication in the brain, let's delve into neurotransmitters, chemicals that transmit signals across a synapse from one neuron to another. One well-known neurotransmitter is dopamine, often called the feel-good chemical. Dopamine is intimately involved in reward and pleasure systems in the brain. It's also crucial for regulating movement and emotional responses. A deficiency in dopamine levels is linked to conditions such as Parkinson's disease, where patients experience tremors and difficulty with movement. On the flip side, excessive dopamine activity can be associated with certain types of schizophrenia. Another key player is serotonin, which helps regulate mood, appetite, and sleep. Imbalances in serotonin levels are often linked to depression, which is why many antidepressant medications aim to increase serotonin levels in the brain. There's also acetylcholine, crucial for memory and learning, and its dysfunction is one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. The balance and interaction of these neurotransmitters are fundamental to almost every brain function. The human brain's surface, known as the cerebral cortex, has characteristic folds and grooves that dramatically increase its surface area. This folded nature allows for a greater number of neurons to be packed into the cortex, thereby enhancing cognitive abilities. These folds are called gyri, while the grooves are known as sulci. One interesting condition related to these structures is polymicrogyria, where the brain develops too many small folds. This can lead to various neurological issues, including seizures and developmental delays. Conversely, there's also lissencephaly, a condition where the brain's surface appears unusually smooth. This can result in severe motor and intellectual impairments. Understanding these conditions offers fascinating insights into how vital the intricate folding pattern of the cortex is for normal brain functions. Such insights also underscore the importance of brain structure in shaping cognition and behavior. Memory storage in the brain is a complex and multifaceted process involving different regions and types of neurons. The hippocampus, a small seahorse-shaped structure located within the temporal lobe, plays a crucial role in the formation of new memories. If you've ever heard of someone with anterograde amnesia, They're typically unable to form new memories due to damage to the hippocampus. Another interesting aspect of memory storage is how the brain prioritizes information. Emotional experiences are often easier to remember because the amygdala, a region associated with emotions, interacts closely with the hippocampus. This is why highly emotional events, like a wedding or a traumatic accident, are often vividly remembered. Additionally, long-term memories are stored differently than short-term memories. While short-term memory relies on immediate patterns of neuronal activity, long-term memory involves structural changes in neurons, such as the strengthening of synaptic connections, known as long-term potentiation. This dynamic process allows for the vast and rich storage of our life experiences. The blood-brain barrier is one of the brain's most critical defense mechanisms, segregating the brain from the circulating blood to protect it from potentially harmful substances. This barrier comprises tightly packed endothelial cells lining the brain's capillaries, making it difficult for large or hydrophilic molecules to pass through. However, some essential nutrients and gases like glucose and oxygen can diffuse through this barrier, thanks to specialized transport mechanisms. One intriguing aspect is its role in drug delivery. Many life-saving drugs can't naturally cross the blood-brain barrier, presenting challenges in treating conditions like brain tumors and neurodegenerative diseases. Scientists are researching various methods to bypass or temporarily open the blood-brain barrier, such as using focused ultrasound or specially designed nanoparticles. The blood-brain barrier's selective permeability is crucial for maintaining the brain's internal environment, but poses significant challenges in medical treatments. Another bit of mind-blowing information is the role of the prefrontal cortex, located at the front of the brain. This region is responsible for higher-order cognitive functions like decision-making, problem-solving, planning, and social behavior. The prefrontal cortex continues to develop well into a person's 20s, which may explain why adolescents sometimes exhibit riskier behaviors or have difficulty with long-term planning. Damage to this area can result in significant changes in personality and behavior without necessarily affecting intelligence. One famous case study is that of Phineas Gage, a 19th century railroad worker who survived an accident in which a large iron rod was driven completely through his head, destroying much of his prefrontal cortex. Remarkably, Gage could still speak and walk, but his personality underwent a dramatic change. He became impulsive and had difficulty adhering to social norms. This case provided early evidence of the crucial role of the prefrontal cortex in shaping personality and behavior. The field of neuroscience has made intriguing discoveries about the phenomenon of synesthesia, a condition in which stimulating one sensory pathway leads to automatic involuntary experiences in a second sensory pathway. People with synesthesia might see music as colors or taste words. This condition is rare but can offer extraordinary insights into sensory processing and brain connectivity. MRI studies have shown that people with synesthesia have increased cross-activation between brain areas responsible for different sensory modalities. Although the exact cause is still not fully understood, some scientists suggest that synesthesia may arise from a failure to trim excess neural connections during early development, allowing for more direct communication between sensory pathways. This heightened connectivity may underlie the unique perceptual experiences that synesthetes report. Far from a disability, many people with synesthesia consider it a gift that adds a rich, multidimensional layer to their sensory experiences. The concept of brain lateralization refers to how certain cognitive processes and functions are more dominantly controlled by one hemisphere of the brain than the other. For instance, in most right-handed individuals, language functions are typically localized in the left hemisphere. This concept became widely known from the work of Roger Sperry and Michael Gazzaniga, who studied patients that had undergone a corpus callosotomy, a procedure to sever the corpus callosum, a bundle of nerves connecting the two hemispheres, to treat severe epilepsy. These split-brain patients exhibited fascinating behaviors. For instance, an object placed in their right hand could be named, but if placed in the left hand, they couldn't find the words to describe it. Such experiments offer compelling insights into how specialized tasks can be localized to one hemisphere. It also sheds light on the importance of interhemispheric communication for the seamless integration of cognitive functions. When it comes to brain health, sleep is absolutely crucial. During sleep, the brain undergoes various restorative processes that are vital for maintaining cognitive function and emotional well-being. One of the most fascinating aspects of sleep is the role of the glymphatic system, which becomes highly active during deep sleep. This system helps to clear out metabolic waste products and toxins that accumulate in the brain during waking hours. Essentially, you can think of it as a cleaning crew that tidies up while you rest. The importance of adequate sleep becomes even more evident when considering its impact on memory consolidation, mood regulation, and overall cognitive function. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to a host of negative consequences, including impaired memory, decreased attention span, and increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Thus, sleep is indispensable for overall brain health and functionality. The brain's ability to grow new neurons, a process called neurogenesis, was long thought to be impossible in adults. However, pioneering research in the late 20th century overturned this belief, demonstrating that neurogenesis does occur in specific regions of the adult brain, such as the hippocampus. This discovery opened up new avenues for understanding learning, memory, and emotional regulation. Factors like physical exercise, a stimulating environment, and even certain dietary components have been found to promote neurogenesis. Conversely, chronic stress, aging, and neurodegenerative diseases can inhibit this process. Understanding the mechanisms behind neurogenesis has significant implications for treating conditions like depression, where the production of new neurons might play a therapeutic role. It also raises intriguing questions about the potential for brain repair following injury or disease. Thus, the capacity for neurogenesis underscores the brain's incredible adaptability and resilience. A lesser-known but incredibly intriguing aspect of the brain is its endogenous clock, located in the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. This master clock regulates our circadian rhythms, which are roughly 24-hour cycles that influence various physiological processes, including our sleep-wake cycle. Disruptions in these circadian rhythms, such as those caused by shift work or jet lag, can have profound effects on physical and mental health. For example, chronic misalignment of circadian rhythms can lead to sleep disorders, metabolic dysfunctions, and even increased risks for cardiovascular diseases and cancer. Research into circadian biology has led to the development of chronotherapy, which aims to time treatments such as medication, according to the body's biological clock to enhance their effectiveness and minimize side effects. Understanding these rhythms further emphasizes how tightly interconnected our brain and body functions are. The default mode network is a set of brain regions that show higher levels of activity when a person is at rest and not focused on the outside world. This network includes the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and angular gyrus, among others. It is most active during wakeful rest when a person is daydreaming, reminiscing, or planning for the future. Intriguingly, disruptions in the default mode network are linked to various mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia. In depressive states, for example, the network shows hyperactivity, which is thought to correlate with the excessive rumination commonly seen in depression. Functional MRI studies have also found that meditation and mindfulness practices can help modulate the activity of the default mode network, offering potential avenues for therapeutic interventions. The existence and functionality of this network offer fascinating insights into the brain's activity during rest. Another fascinating aspect of the brain is the presence of grandmother cells, also known as concept cells. These are specialized neurons that respond to very specific stimuli, such as recognizing the face of a person's grandmother or well-known celebrities. This idea evolved from the concept that certain neurons are highly selective in their response, firing only when an individual encounters a particular familiar object or person. Research has identified neurons in the medial temporal lobe, particularly in the hippocampus and surrounding cortical areas, that exhibit such selective firing patterns. For example, some neurons might only become active when showing pictures of famous personalities like Jennifer Aniston or Oprah Winfrey. These neurons help illustrate how the brain codes for complex, high-level information, and suggest that our memory and recognition systems may be more specialized and precise than we ever imagined. The existence of these cells has profound implications for our understanding of perception and memory. One of the lesser-known but immensely crucial aspects of the brain involves its role in regulating our gut. This connection is famously known as the gut-brain axis. It's a bidirectional communication system that links the central nervous system with the enteric nervous system of the gastrointestinal tract. This axis explains why you might feel nauseous when you're anxious or why stress can upset your stomach. Emerging research also suggests that the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria residing in our intestines, plays a significant role in this communication. These microbes produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, which not only affect gut function but also have systemic effects, influencing mood and cognitive functions. Disruptions in this gut-brain communication are linked to conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, and even depression. This complex interplay highlights the importance of a healthy gut for maintaining optimal brain function and overall well-being. When discussing brain development, it's essential to note that the critical periods are windows during which the brain is particularly receptive to specific types of learning, environmental stimuli. These periods are crucial for the development of functions such as language, vision, and social behavior. For instance, if a child does not receive adequate visual stimulation during the early years, the neural circuits responsible for vision may not develop properly, leading to lifelong deficiencies. Similarly, language acquisition is much easier for young children because their brains are more plastic during these critical periods. Understanding these windows of heightened sensitivity has profound implications for education and even rehabilitation in cases of developmental disorders. It emphasizes the importance of early interventions for maximizing cognitive and behavioral outcomes. Consequently, the concept of critical periods underscores the dynamic nature of brain development. The brain's remarkable ability to filter and prioritize information is evident in a phenomenon known as selective attention. This cognitive process allows us to focus on specific stimuli while ignoring others. Imagine being at a noisy party where everyone is talking simultaneously, yet you can still concentrate on the conversation you're having without getting overwhelmed by the background noise. This ability relies on multiple brain regions, including the prefrontal cortex and parietal lobes, which work together to enhance relevant signals and suppress irrelevant ones. Selective attention is vital for navigating complex environments and performing everyday tasks efficiently. Interestingly, this mechanism can become compromised in conditions like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, where the ability to focus on specific tasks is impaired. The intricate interplay of neural circuits involved in selective attention highlights the brain's incredible capacity for managing the vast amount of information we encounter daily. Mirror neurons are a remarkable type of neuron discovered in the early 1990s by researchers studying monkeys. These neurons fire not only when the monkey performs an action, but also when it observes another monkey or a human performing the same action. This led to the hypothesis that mirror neurons play a crucial role in understanding actions, intention, and even emotional states of others. Human studies have found similar neurons in the premotor cortex and the inferior parietal lobule. These neurons are believed to be foundational for abilities like empathy and social learning. For instance, watching someone else experience joy or pain can activate similar neural circuits in the observer, thereby creating a sense of shared experience. Dysfunction in the mirror neuron system has been implicated in conditions like autism, where social and empathetic abilities are often impaired. Understanding mirror neurons opens up fascinating insights into the neural basis of social cognition. The brain's remarkable adaptability and complexity can sometimes make it vulnerable to various neurological conditions, one of which is multiple sclerosis. This autoimmune disease affects the central nervous system, specifically targeting the myelin sheath that insulates nerve fibers. When the immune system attacks this sheath, it disrupts neural communication, leading to symptoms like muscle weakness, balance issues, and cognitive impairments. Interestingly, multiple sclerosis manifests differently in every individual, and its course can be unpredictable. Recent research has focused on understanding the triggers and contributing factors, such as genetic predispositions and environmental influences like vitamin D deficiency. There are currently treatments that can help manage symptoms and slow the disease's progression, but a cure remains elusive. This condition underscores the complexity of neural systems and the delicate balance required to maintain optimal brain health. Each new discovery in understanding multiple sclerosis offers hope for more effective treatments in the future. The placebo effect is another fascinating phenomenon highlighting the brain's power in influencing physical health. When a person takes a placebo, a substance with no therapeutic effect, they can still experience real changes in their condition simply because they believe they're receiving treatment. This effect is so powerful that it can alleviate symptoms of conditions like pain, depression, and even Parkinson's disease. Neurological studies have found that the placebo effect activates specific brain regions, such as the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex, which are involved in expectation and pain modulation. Endorphins and other neurotransmitters also play a role, contributing to the physiological changes observed. The placebo effect underscores the profound interconnection between mind and body, revealing how subjective perceptions can lead to measurable outcomes. Understanding this effect has significant implications for clinical practices and enhances our comprehension of the brain's influence on health. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, is not only essential for learning and recovery from injury, but also for adapting to sensory deprivation. For example, in individuals who are blind, The brain's visual cortex doesn't remain inactive, but gets repurposed for other functions, like processing auditory or tactile information. One remarkable case involved a woman who lost her vision but became highly proficient in echolocation, using tongue clicks to navigate her environment. Brain scans revealed that her visual cortex was activated during these tasks, demonstrating its adaptability. Similarly, people who are deaf may use their auditory cortex for enhanced peripheral vision or other non-auditory tasks. These adaptive changes highlight the brain's incredible flexibility and capacity to compensate for the loss of one sense by enhancing others, enabling individuals to navigate and interact with their world in extraordinary ways. The phenomenon known as cognitive reserve refers to the brain's resilience against damage. It explains why some people with significant brain pathology, such as Alzheimer's plaques, may show few clinical symptoms, while others with less damage may experience severe cognitive decline. Cognitive reserve is believed of the brain, an organ that consumes about 20% of the body's energy, is incredibly adaptive. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This means that our brains can overcome injury by rerouting functions to undamaged regions. For example, in cases of stroke, physical therapy can help patients regain lost abilities because the brain adapts by redirecting tasks to other areas. Neuroplasticity is engaged not just in recovery scenarios, but also during learning processes, thereby having significant implications for education and cognitive therapies. The brain does an extraordinary amount of processing in real time. One fascinating example is the study of taxi drivers in London. Researchers discovered that the hippocampi of London taxi drivers, the part of the brain involved in navigation and memory, were significantly larger than those of the general population. This demonstrates how real-world experiences and job requirements can physically alter the structure of our brains. The longer the individuals had been taxi drivers, the more pronounced the changes were, indicating that the brain continues to evolve based on our experiences. One lesser-known fact about the brain is its involvement in gut health. The vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve, runs from the brainstem to the gut, enabling a two-way communication channel. This gut-brain axis is crucial for regulating digestion, hunger, and even mood. Studies have shown that changes in gut flora can affect the brain, and vice versa. For instance, experiments with mice have demonstrated that gut bacteria can influence anxiety levels, proving that mental health can be directly impacted by the condition of our digestive systems. Consequently, this interaction is an emerging area of research, especially in the treatment of anxiety and depression. The brain has a unique relationship with sleep. While the body appears to be at rest, the brain engages in a number of activities that are essential for health and well-being. It consolidates memories, processes information from the day, and removes accumulated toxins through a special system called the glymphatic system. During sleep, the brain cells contract, creating spaces between them that allow cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely, washing away waste products. Therefore, sleep deprivation not only impacts cognitive functions like memory and focus, but also has long-term implications for brain health, increasing the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Broca's area, located in the frontal lobe, is a tiny part yet vital for speech production. Damage to this region can result in Broca's aphasia, characterized by difficulty in speaking while still comprehending language. This was first discovered by Pierre-Paul Broca in the 19th century when he studied a patient named Tan, who could only say "tan" and a few expletives. An autopsy revealed a lesion in a specific part of the brain's frontal lobe, establishing the link between that area and speech production. This discovery spurred further research into how different parts of the brain are specialized for specific functions, forming the foundation for modern neuroscience. The concept of lateralization refers to how some brain functions are more dominantly controlled by one hemisphere than the other. For example, in most right-handed people, language and analytical tasks are largely governed by the left hemisphere, while spatial and creative tasks are managed by the right hemisphere. This was famously studied through the split brain experiments of Roger Sperry in the 20th century. By severing the corpus callosum, the bridge of nerve fibers that connects the two hemispheres, researchers found that patients could essentially possess two separate streams of consciousness, each half capable of independent thought and action. This phenomenon brought invaluable insights into the specialized functions of each hemisphere. Your brain's response to music can be both emotionally and physically transformative. Studies have shown that listening to music can activate many different areas of the brain simultaneously, including those involved in movement, planning, attention, and memory. For patients with Parkinson's disease, music therapy can help improve movement and coordination, Melodic intonation therapy, which uses musical elements to improve speech, has been effectively applied to treat aphasia, a condition often resulting from a stroke. Furthermore, emotionally, music has been shown to reduce levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, providing an overall sense of well-being. Hence, the power of music on the brain is not just entertaining but also therapeutic. The condition known as synesthesia involves a blending of the senses, where stimulation of one sensory pathway leads to automatic, involuntary experiences in another pathway. For example, a person with synesthesia might see colors when they hear music or associate specific tastes with words. Neurological studies suggest that synesthesia might result from increased connectivity or cross-activation between brain areas that are typically not linked. Famous individuals like physicist Richard Feynman and artist Wassily Kandinsky reportedly possessed some form of synesthesia, which deeply influenced their work. Although not entirely understood, synesthesia offers a fascinating glimpse into the diverse ways the brain can process and interpret sensory information. The prefrontal cortex, the brain region located at the front of the frontal lobe, is responsible for complex behaviors, including decision-making, social interaction, and impulse control. This part of the brain is not fully developed until about the mid-20s, which is why teenagers often take more risks and may have difficulty with self-control and decision-making. The developmental arc of the prefrontal cortex has significant implications for education and criminal justice systems. One famous case illustrating the role of the prefrontal cortex is Phineas Gage, a 19th century railroad worker who survived an accident that drove an iron rod through his skull. Although he lived, significant damage to his prefrontal cortex resulted in drastic changes to his personality, making him impulsive and socially inappropriate, thereby highlighting the importance of this brain region in regulating behavior. Neurogenesis, the process of generating new neurons, primarily occurs in two regions of the adult brain, the hippocampus and the olfactory bulb. This discovery upended the long-standing belief that humans are born with a finite number of neurons. The understanding of neurogenesis has profound implications for treatments of neurological disorders and mental illnesses. For instance, exercise and enriched environments can enhance neurogenesis, improving cognitive functions such as learning and memory. Conversely, stress and depression have been shown to inhibit neuron growth, further underscoring the interplay between mental health and brain biology. Therapies aimed at promoting neurogenesis are being explored as potential treatments for conditions like Alzheimer's disease and depression. Mirror neurons are a special class of brain cells that respond equally when an individual performs an action or watches someone else perform the same action. Discovered in the early 1990s in macaque monkeys, these neurons are thought to play critical roles in social cognition, imitation, and empathy. For example, when you see someone smiling, the same neurons that activate when you smile also fire in your brain. This mirroring mechanism could explain why emotions can be contagious and why we can empathize with others' experiences. Moreover, some researchers suggest that mirror neurons may be involved in the development of language and culture, demonstrating their broad significance. Traumatic brain injury, commonly known as TBI, can result in symptoms ranging from mild cognitive impairments to severe debilitating conditions. Because the brain's structure is soft and jelly-like, a sudden impact can cause it to collide with the inner walls of the skull, leading to bruising, bleeding, and destruction of neural tissue. Repeated minor TBIs, like those seen in some contact sports, can lead to chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a condition characterized by long-term cognitive and emotional difficulties. Athletes, soldiers, and accident victims are particularly at risk. The diagnosis and treatment of TBIs have improved, but the brain's complexity makes it challenging to predict recovery outcomes fully. The idea of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIS, is no longer confined to science fiction. These systems allow direct communication between the brain and an external device, opening up incredible possibilities for restoring lost functions and augmenting human capabilities. Researchers are developing BCIS to help paralyzed individuals control prosthetic limbs and interact with computers using their thoughts. For example, a study conducted at Brown University demonstrated that individuals with severe motor impairments could achieve basic cursor control on a screen through a BCI, thanks to implanted electrodes recording brain activity. While the technology is still in the developmental phase, its potential applications are vast and revolutionary. Brain waves, electrical impulses produced by neuronal oscillations, can be measured using electroencephalography, commonly known as electroencephalogram. The primary brainwave types are delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma, each associated with different states of mind. For example, delta waves dominate during deep sleep, while alpha waves are common in relaxed meditative states. Interestingly, practices like mindfulness meditation have been shown to alter brainwave patterns, increasing alpha and theta waves, which are linked to a sense of tranquility. This insight has led to the development of neurofeedback therapies aimed at teaching individuals how to consciously control their brainwaves to manage conditions like ADHD and anxiety. The phenomenon known as blind sight occurs when individuals with damage to the primary visual cortex cannot consciously see objects, yet they can still respond to visual stimuli. In studies, patients with blind sight have been able to navigate obstacles and even guess the emotions of faces they report not seeing. This paradox suggests that other pathways outside the primary visual cortex can still process visual information. Blind sight challenges our understanding of perception and consciousness. It implies that consciousness and sensory information processing can occur on multiple levels within the brain, with some being accessible to our subjective experience and others operating beneath it. The brain's ability to change and adapt is often highlighted through cases of sensory deprivation. People who are born blind or lose their vision early in life tend to develop heightened abilities in other senses, such as hearing and touch. This compensatory enhancement occurs because the brain regions initially dedicated to processing visual information get repurposed for other functions. For instance, the occipital lobe, usually responsible for vision, becomes more involved in tasks like braille reading and auditory processing in blind individuals. This neural reorganization demonstrates the brain's remarkable flexibility and capacity to adapt to different life circumstances. The concept of ghost limbs or phantom limb syndrome underscores the brain's intricate relationship with the body. When a limb is amputated, many patients continue to feel sensations as if the limb were still present. Neurologist V.S. Ramachandran has shown that these sensations arise because the brain's representation of the body in the sensory and motor cortices remains intact even after the limb is gone. Using mirror therapy, where patients perform movements using a mirror to reflect the remaining limb, Ramachandran managed to alleviate some of the discomfort associated with phantom limb pain. This demonstrates the power of visual input and brain plasticity in modulating pain and perception. The involvement of the brain in chronic pain conditions goes beyond mere sensation. Functional MRI scans, commonly known as fMRIs, have shown that chronic pain alters the brain's structure and function, affecting areas involved in mood, stress, and executive functions. Neurotransmitters and neural pathways linked to chronic pain can become dysregulated, creating a vicious cycle where pain amplifies stress and anxiety, which in turn exacerbates pain. Techniques like mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, and biofeedback have shown promise in modulating brain activity to break this cycle. This interdisciplinary approach to understanding and treating chronic pain recognizes that it is as much a neurological condition as it is a physical one. Split brain surgery, a procedure once used to treat severe epilepsy, involves cutting the corpus callosum, the bundle of nerve fibers connecting the two brain hemispheres. Patients who underwent this surgery offered unique insights into the brain's lateralization of function. In a famous experiment, a split brain patient could name objects placed in their right hand but not in their left, though they could still identify the object by touch alone. This highlighted that the left hemisphere, which controls the right hand, is generally responsible for language, while the right hemisphere, controlling the left hand, excels in spatial and nonverbal tasks. These discoveries showed how each side of the brain has specialized yet complementary roles. Temporal lobe epilepsy offers a fascinating look into how brain abnormalities can produce extraordinary experiences. Some individuals with this type of epilepsy report intense spiritual experiences, vivid hallucinations, and heightened emotions during seizures. This unique phenomenon is believed to result from abnormal electrical activity in the temporal lobes, which are involved in memory, emotion, and perception. Famous Russian author Fyodor Dostoevsky, who had temporal lobe epilepsy, described his seizure experiences as moments of profound revelation and ecstasy. Studying this condition has provided invaluable insights into the brain's role in shaping subjective experiences and the fine line between pathology and creativity. The blood-brain barrier, a semi-permeable membrane, serves as a protective shield for the brain. It tightly regulates the substances that can pass from the bloodstream into the brain, blocking harmful pathogens and toxins while allowing essential nutrients to get through. However, this protective mechanism also poses challenges for treating brain diseases because many therapeutic drugs can't easily cross the barrier. Novel techniques like nanoparticles and focused ultrasound are being developed to deliver medications directly to the brain, bypassing the blood-brain barrier. Understanding this barrier is crucial for advancing treatments for neurodegenerative diseases, brain tumors, and other neurological conditions. The default mode network, often referred to as the DMN, is a group of brain regions that become active when the mind is at rest and not focused on the outside world. It's involved in processes like daydreaming, self-reflection, and future planning. Researchers discovered that the DMN becomes less active during tasks requiring focused attention but ramps up during periods of introspection. Abnormalities in the DMN have been linked to various mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia. Understanding the DMN offers insights into how the brain manages internal thoughts and emotions and has implications for therapies aimed at mental health disorders. The glymphatic system, responsible for clearing waste from the brain, is most active during sleep. Brain cells shrink during sleep, increasing the flow of cerebrospinal fluid and efficiently removing toxins like beta amyloid, which is associated with Alzheimer's disease. This discovery has highlighted the importance of sleep for brain health and cognitive function. Chronic sleep deprivation can lead to an accumulation of harmful substances in the brain, impairing cognitive functions and increasing the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Thus, ensuring adequate sleep is crucial for maintaining the brain's cleaning mechanisms and overall health. Electroconvulsive therapy, commonly known as ECT, is often misunderstood but has proven to be highly effective for treating severe depression that doesn't respond to standard therapies. This treatment involves passing a small electrical current through the brain to induce a controlled seizure. Despite its controversial history and sensationalized portrayals in media, ECT has helped countless individuals achieve significant relief from severe depressive episodes. Modern ECT techniques are much safer and more controlled than in the past, using anesthesia and muscle relaxants to minimize discomfort and risks. Its effectiveness highlights the complex and sometimes still mysterious ways electrical activity in the brain relates to mental health. The phenomenon of neural pruning, where the brain eliminates weaker synaptic connections while strengthening others, is most active during childhood and adolescence. This process is essential for developing more efficient neural networks, enabling faster and more accurate information processing. Pruning is influenced by both genetic factors and environmental experiences, making early life experiences crucial for cognitive and emotional development. However, excessive or insufficient pruning has been linked to various mental health disorders, including schizophrenia and autism. Understanding neural pruning provides valuable insights into brain development and the importance of early life experiences in shaping our cognitive and emotional well-being. The brain's reward system, primarily governed by the neurotransmitter dopamine, plays a crucial role in motivating behaviors and reinforcing actions. This system is activated by rewarding stimuli like food, social interactions, and drugs. However, dysregulation of the reward system can lead to addiction, where the brain becomes excessively focused on obtaining the pleasurable stimulus, often at the expense of other activities. Understanding the reward system's mechanics is essential for developing effective treatments for addiction and other compulsive behaviors. Interventions targeting dopamine regulation and alternative reward pathways are being researched to address these complex conditions. The anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC, is a brain region involved in a variety of functions, including emotional regulation, decision-making, and physical pain processing. It acts as a hub, integrating emotional and cognitive information to guide behavior. Abnormalities in the ACC have been linked to conditions like depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. For example, overactivity in the ACC is often observed in individuals with anxiety disorders, contributing to heightened stress responses and rumination. By targeting the ACC through various therapies, including cognitive behavioral techniques and neuromodulation, clinicians aim to alleviate some of these symptoms, offering hope for more effective treatments. The brain's relationship with the immune system is an emerging field of study. Traditionally, the brain was considered immune privileged, meaning it was largely isolated from immune system activity. However, recent research has identified direct pathways for immune cell entry into the brain, highlighting a bidirectional relationship between neural activity and immune responses. For instance, inflammation in the brain has been linked to conditions like depression and Alzheimer's disease. Conversely, neural activity can influence immune responses, affecting overall health and susceptibility to illnesses. Understanding this complex interplay opens new avenues for treating neurological and psychiatric conditions by targeting immune pathways. The phenomenon of savant syndrome is a rare but extraordinary condition where individuals with developmental disorders, particularly autism, exhibit remarkable abilities in specific areas like mathematics, music, or art. These abilities often far exceed the general population's capabilities. One famous case is that of Kim Peek, the inspiration for the movie Rain Man, who could read and memorize entire books within minutes, despite severe cognitive disabilities. Researchers believe that savant abilities may result from atypical neural development or compensatory brain mechanisms. Studying savant syndrome provides insights into the brain's latent potential for extraordinary skills and challenges our understanding of cognitive abilities and disabilities. Brain fingerprinting is an emerging technique that aims to identify individuals based on their unique brainwave patterns. Using electroencephalogram technology, brain fingerprinting measures responses to various stimuli, such as images or words, to determine whether the subject recognizes them. This technique has potential applications in security and criminal justice, offering a more reliable method for lie detection and identifying individuals with specific knowledge. However, it also raises ethical concerns related to privacy and the potential for misuse. As research progresses, brain fingerprinting may revolutionize fields like forensic science and personal identification, but it requires careful consideration of ethical implications. Language processing in the brain is a complex interplay between various regions, including Broca's area, Wernicke's area, and the angular gyrus. Broca's area is primarily involved in speech production, while Wernicke's area is crucial for language comprehension. The angular gyrus integrates information from different sensory modalities to support language understanding. Damage to these areas can result in aphasia, a condition characterized by impaired language abilities. For example, Wernicke's aphasia results in fluent but meaningless speech, while Broca's aphasia leads to non-fluent but meaningful speech. Studying these language centers provides insights into the brain's remarkable capacity for communication and its vulnerability to disruption. The use it or lose it principle underscores the importance of mental stimulation for maintaining cognitive function. Engaging in intellectually stimulating activities, such as learning new languages, playing musical instruments, or solving puzzles, promotes neuroplasticity and cognitive resilience. This principle is particularly relevant for aging populations, as research shows that mentally active individuals are less likely to develop cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Additionally, lifelong learning and mental challenges can lead to the formation of new synapses, enhancing overall brain function. Prioritizing mental engagement throughout life is crucial for maintaining cognitive health and mitigating the effects of aging.